Hello everyone and welcome back for some more Drag Race gossip, secrets and drama. So I'm back with a Roscoe's recap for the latest viewing party, which was for Drag Race Season 15 Episode 9. And the guests were Kandy Muse from Season 13, Willam from Season 4 and Dida Ritz also from Season 4. Today we're going to be talking about Dida Ritz accusing Phi Phi O'Hara of lying, the truth about Willam's disqualification on Season 4, and why Kandy Muse got in trouble with the Drag Race lawyers on Season 13. All that and more coming up in today's video, so let's get started. Please note that because we're going to be talking about the outcome of certain episodes of Drag Race, there is a spoiler alert in place for this video. So, they first started talking about Drag Race in general and how the episodes of Season 15 have been cut down and the episodes are so short. And Dida said that she wishes that instead of the Real Friends of WeHo, Drag Race made a second season of the Vegas Revue. Just in case you haven't heard of it, Vegas Revue is a documentary about the RuPaul's Drag Race Live show that takes place in Las Vegas. And in the series, it follows the group of queens around while they're in Las Vegas for the show, and there is a lot of backstage drama and gossip from the show. Anyway, Dida said that a second season of the Vegas Revue would be more interesting than the Real Friends of WeHo because it's always got a new cast of girls and, quote, there is always some bleep going on. And Willam added that one of the girls from the Vegas Revue stole a van and drove it to Idaho for a hookup. And everyone started laughing, but Willam said she wouldn't say who it was that did it, but she whispered the name to Dida, but you couldn't hear it on camera. Host Batty Davis then mentioned Willam's podcast, Race Chaser, which Willam hosts with Alaska, and Batty said that Willam and Alaska had recently had Todrick Hall as a guest on their podcast. Willam said that it was Alaska's idea to have Todrick on the show, and Willam said that she had only watched a few episodes of The Real Friends of WeHo because, quote, I don't need to be fed fake problems by real people. Willam then went on to say that the cast of the show are not real friends, so she doesn't care about the show, and then said, quote, nobody wants to watch boring Fs who are like, ooh, I do skincare, girl, you're in the valley, shut up. And host Caramel said the reason that Alaska had Todrick on the show was because no one from the Drag Race audience wanted to give the Real Friends of WeHo a chance, but Alaska did watch it and didn't enjoy it. And Willam said that Todrick is very talented and said, quote, and he pays people now, and everyone laughed. And host Naysha Lopez said, quote, emphasis on the word now. Just to explain, Todrick has been accused multiple times of not paying his staff, which has become one of the big controversies about Todrick. Make sure you check out my previous video about Todrick, and I'll put a link in the description. They then moved on to the main challenge of Drag Race this week, which was the Design Challenge Ball, and Naysha asked if they agreed with the judges' critiques. Kandy Muse said, quote, girl, F Michelle, kiss my bleep. Kandy then went on to say that if they get rid of Spice that episode, Kandy is going to have an issue with them. But then Kandy laughed, so I think that she was joking or didn't mean it that seriously. Kandy then said that Lucy LaDuca should be in the bottom this week because, quote, every single week Lucy wants to prove how great she is and every single week Lucy doesn't. But then Kandy said, quote, I'm kidding. Naysha then said, quote, and this is why Drag Race kinda hates me because I go after production, but Naysha said that she thinks that production wanted Spice to go home that week and their mind was already made up from last week's lip sync Lollapalooza. And Naysha said that Michelle's critique of Spice about her outfit was, quote, bull bleep, and Naysha said that she thought that it was, quote, stupid and part of production. And the others agreed that Spice probably shouldn't have been in the bottom to begin with. Kandy then went on and told a story and said that after season 13 finished filming, she went to a house party that Sugar and Spice were also at. And Kandy said, quote, I was in a full K-hole, and Sugar and Spice let me ramble on for 45 minutes and just nodded and smiled and not once complained. And Kandy said that she lives for Sugar and Spice and said, quote, Lucy, next week I'm coming for you, B. The episode ended and they started talking about Drag Race in general, and Naysha asked Willam if on season 4 there were any queens who were a bit delusional and always thought that they were going to win. And Willam said that there was one girl who always thought she was going to win a lot but didn't, and someone in the audience shouted something out but you couldn't hear exactly what, and Willam said, quote, she doesn't go by that name anymore. so it's implied she was referring to Jaremi Carey, formerly known as Phi Phi O'Hara. Kandy then said that Jaremi was apparently going to be part of the new show called House of Villains. And Willam said, quote, "That's a full circle moment because I was also up for that. Phi Phi finally beat me." Willam then explained that the show House of Villains is on the E! channel, and the show involves taking all of these villains from different iconic reality TV shows or anti-heroes. And Willam said that it was filming in February, but she didn't book it. Naysha asked Dida the same question about who on season 4 was a, quote, pick-me queen, who always thought that they were going to win, and Dida said, quote, "Phi Phi wasn't obvious, but she's a B, F her." Dida then said, quote, "I'm about to choose violence in this moment. F Phi Phi because the fact that she went on Hey Queen, she disrespected me and made up a lot of lies. And I've been quiet about it for so many years and she knows what she did. F her and I hope you're having a good life." And everyone in the audience gasped and laughed. Just to explain, I believe Dida is referring to this interview with Jaremi/Phi Phi from Hey Queen in July 2016. In the video, Jaremi was asked about Dida, and Jaremi said that he hadn't seen Dida in a long time and said, quote, "Not because we're not friends, but we just haven't seen each other." Jaremi then said that Dida was in New York for a while and then, quote, magically disappeared, and then said that New York is a hard city and said, quote, "Maybe that has something to do with it," and Jaremi made a face when he said that. And I think because of that, the host of Hey Queen, Johnny, laughed and said, quote, "It seems like there's something you're not saying." And Jaremi explained that New York is a hard city to make it in and it's very competitive and expensive. Jaremi then went on to explain that Dida used to live with him, and Jaremi said that Dida had a problem with her ex-roommate, and Jaremi went over to help Dida move out, and apparently Dida's ex-roommate was throwing her clothes out of a window. And Jaremi said, quote, "I will tell you this, and she might get upset about this. She is probably one of the messiest people I've ever lived with in my entire life." Jaremi then went on to explain that Dida loves Popeye's chicken and said that when he came home, there were always boxes of Popeye's chicken everywhere. And then Jaremi asked where did Dida get all the money for this chicken and then said, quote, "She eats a lot." And it appears as though this is what upset Dida. And back to Roscoe's, Naysha asked Dida what happened with Jaremi, and Dida said, quote, "I'm a very loyal friend, I don't tell people's personal business." But then Dida said that when Jaremi went on Hey Queen, quote, "She made up lots of lies, talking about Popeye's chicken boxes and all types of disrespectful stuff that she knows will gaslight fans to disrespect me and come for me." And Dida finished by saying that she did not appreciate Jaremi saying that, and Dida said that when she went on Hey Queen, she was asked about Jaremi, but didn't say anything bad about Jaremi, and Dida then said, quote, "F her, that's all it is." And it appears as though Jaremi must have heard about what Dida had said at Roscoe's, because after the Roscoe's episode aired, Jaremi tweeted saying, "Dida Ritz, keep my name out your mouth. I picked your bleep off a Chicago sidewalk, gave you a roof when no one would. You decided to wreck my living space. I don't think you want me to bring up why you aren't allowed to work at Industry Bar in New York City, or would you?" And Jaremi then followed this up with another tweet and said, "I'd tag you, but you probably have me blocked because that's what happens when I bring up truths, but I'm sure the drag race scene will relay the message." And Dida tweeted, seemingly in reply to Jaremi's tweet, but it's unclear. But Dida said, "I heard the trolls are big mad because of what I said at the Roscoe's viewing party. I mean, it's on footage the racist microaggressions you were throwing at me were obvious. So if you want to be mad at yourself, and we could also talk about gay US of A and why you're banned." And Dida then seemingly responded to what Jaremi had said about Dida being banned from a bar in New York, and Dida said, "And I've always had nothing but a great time at any bar in New York City, that's why I still am doing drag." They then talked about the fact that the Drag Race queens are quarantined and sequestered in their hotel rooms, and Willam said that on season 4, she left her room to go out multiple times, but she would take out other cast members with her because she knew that they couldn't all be disqualified. Willam also said that production had assistants and they would get a van for Willam and Jaremi so that they could go tanning. And Willam said, quote, "They were very lax with us, which no reality show does, but after all of my bleep, they were like, choke leash." And Kandy said that RuPaul's Drag Race isn't as strict as they say they are, and Kandy said that on season 13 they all got massages and pedicures. Willam then brought up Stephen Corfey and even spelled out his name and waved. And Willam went on to explain that Stephen was a producer of Untucked for season 4 who Willam slept with, and apparently Stephen then slept with an employee at World of Wonder and then got promoted to showrunner, and then everyone apparently, quote, slut-shamed Willam, and now they won't hire Willam. And Willam explained that that's why the show made up the lie about Willam's disqualification and said that she was receiving conjugal visits even though that wasn't true. I did talk about this in a bit more detail in another video, so check it out, I'll put a link in the description. And while Willam was talking about Stephen, Kandy held up a menu to cover her face for the entire time. And at one point she looked over at Naysha and they started whispering, and it wasn't exactly clear why they were doing this. However, in the comments, people were suggesting that both Kandy and Naysha are rumoured to be on All Stars 8, and they didn't want to get in trouble with the show by reacting to what Willam was saying about one of the producers, although this is just a theory and not substantiated. And Naysha asked Willam if she has a relationship with World of Wonder, and Willam said that she likes some of the people who work there, but some of the people at the top don't treat people well. And Willam said that for DragCon, some queens get paid to attend and some do not. And Dida agreed and said, quote, I had a conversation and personally I'm not going to go to any more DragCons until I feel my work relationship is better with World of Wonder. I told them that over the phone. Willam then made a joke and said that at DragCon she always goes to Kandy's booth because Kandy has drugs. And Kandy said, quote, what do you think the K special was about? And Kandy was seemingly referring to the episode 11 challenge on season 13, where the queens had to create a commercial for their own soft drink, and Kandy called hers the K special. And Kandy explained that on Drag Race they have lawyers on set who have to clear things, and apparently for the soft drink challenge, Kandy wanted one of the ingredients to be horse tranquilizer, and Kandy said, quote, horse tranquilizer, ketamine, hello. And apparently Legal said that she absolutely could not say that, and that's why she was forced to change it to warm milk. And Kandy said that there was more to that story, but she couldn't say any more because she's on camera, but she said that she would tell the others after the show. They then moved on to the audience Q&A, and someone asked Willam what happened between Michelle and Raja on All Stars 7 when Raja yelled at Michelle. And this is because presumably Willam and Alaska were the ones to first talk about it on their podcast. I did do a video on this, so make sure you check out that for the full explanation. I'll put a link in the description. Willam didn't really give any additional details about what happened with Raja and Michelle, but Willam said something else that was interesting. Willam said that on All Stars 7, World of Wonder were very kind and let the queens go home to get more clothes or get clothes shipped to them, and this is because the queens were changing their outfits every week for the lip sync. And apparently World of Wonder wanted the queens to look their best, so they allowed them to get extra stuff from their homes even though they technically didn't have to allow them to do that. Another audience member then asked what they would change about Drag Race, and Kandy brought up the fact that Willam got the season 13 queens their Coach bags. Just to explain, in the season 13 bag ball, one of the categories was money bags, and the queens were given a bag from the fashion brand called Coach, and the queens had to incorporate the bags into their look. And there was a big scandal after season 13 because apparently the queens didn't get to keep their Coach bags after the show, and Kandy explained that Willam tweeted and talked about it on her podcast, and because of that the queens got their Coach bags back, and everyone in the audience clapped. And Willam said, quote, honestly, don't use us to create marketing buzz for your show and then not give us our own creations. And Willam said that on season 4, for the wet t-shirt contest in episode 6, quote, they took the bathrobes off our backs after we did the wet t-shirt contest, and Dida confirmed it was true. And apparently Willam shoved her bathrobe in her suitcase and then managed to keep hers because she lied to production and said she never got one. Kandy then said that what she would change about Drag Race is that for Untucked, she would bring back the Interior Illusions Lounge, the Gold Bar and the Silver Lounge, and they should separate the queens. And Kandy said, quote, Untucked is so boring now. And Batty then asked the queens if they were the host of Drag Race, who would they have as a fellow judge? And Willam said that she would have Dida, but also Billy B, who was a regular judge on season 4. And Willam explained that although Billy B was sometimes harsh, he was honest and was actually helpful. And Dida said that after season 4 finished taping, Billy B sat down with her and gave her advice about makeup and drag. And this led Willam to talk about Mathu Andersen, who was RuPaul's makeup artist until season 9, and he appeared a few times on the show as a guest. And Willam said that on season 4, if you made it past the first week, Mathu would show each of the queens a photo of themselves and then give them advice on how to improve their makeup. And they would also go out and buy some makeup to help the queens look better on camera. They then moved on and started watching the season 15 Untucked for this week's episode, and Kandy said that she wants the girls to fight and said that Drag Race, quote, has become too self-aware. And Dida agreed and said that she wants the queens to fight, but Naysha said the reason the queens are so self-aware is because of the fans being hateful to the queens online. And Kandy said when you're filming the show, you don't forget about the outside world, and then said, quote, when you are in a situation, you're thinking, how am I going to react here, and how is everyone going to react outside of this? And finally, Kandy picked up a can of a House of Love cocktail that she was drinking, which is the sponsor of Drag Race as well as Roscoe's. And Kandy said that she really loves the tangerine one because it's the strongest one. And she said that at DragCon, everyone was throwing up after drinking them. And Willam interjected and said, quote, because they were expired. They were expired because they were from DragCon the year before. They gave the money back for all the watermelon ones too because they were the nastiest ones. So there you go, there was the Roscoe's recap for Drag Race Season 15, Episode 9. Which part of the Roscoe's viewing party was the most surprising to you? And who do you think will win Season 15? Let me know in the comments. Please make sure you like, comment and share this video as it really helps support my channel. And of course, please make sure you hit the subscribe button to stay up to date about new uploads. Thanks for watching and I hope you'll join me again in future videos. Thank you, bye!